Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to do another fun block in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions Ladder Quilt project. In today's video we are going to work on the chandelier. This is going to be a lot of fun. We won't be adding the beads in this video. We're just going to be working on the base block. We will add the embellishments once the blocks are sewn together, okay? So today we'll be working on the base block. So go ahead and grab your plastic pouch or plastic bag system that you've labeled chandelier, and let's head over to the machine and let's get started stitching. Okay, we are at the machine and I have a bobbin with white thread down below. I have loaded my 9.5 by 9.5 inch hoop with a piece of the poly no-show mesh stabilizer and place that hoop on my machine. I need you to grab your plastic pouch system or plastic bag system that's labeled chandelier, because we're going to pull out that fabric to use here. And we also need a piece of 7 by 9 inch batting. And there we go for that. So let's go ahead and put the batting and the black chandelier fabric off to one side. And now I want to look at my background fabric. My background fabric has been fused with a fusible on the back side to support it. And I need to pick a thread that's going to blend with this background fabric. And in fact, I'm going to use white thread because I'm using fabric from my stash for this collection. I'm using white with glitter on it. My thread will be white. Your background fabric is going to be a little bit different if you have the kit or if you're using your own stash. So get a matching thread for your fabric and put that up in the top of your machine. Okay, because we're going to use this thread for the first several stitches in this block. All right, let's go ahead and go to the screen cam and I want to load the design. So I'm going to click on embroidery. All right, I'm going to click on my flash drive because that's where I keep all my files. I'm going to click on pumpkins and potions. And I'm going to click on the quilting designs. Okay, I am looking for Halloween 9, which is one right here, and I need the 6 by 8 design, which is this one right here. Okay, perfect. Pumpkins, jack-o'-lantern, ghost 31, that'll be cute. So click set, and now I'm going to add the main embroidery design. If you can't add, don't worry. So you're going to stitch this out first, clear the memory on your machine, and then come back and add the main embroidery design and then stitch that out. So I'm going to click add, go to my flash drive, go back to pumpkins and potions, and I am looking for the chandelier block, which is easy to see right there. That's the one we need, so click set. It brings it in and centers it, which is what we want, so we don't need to do anything else except click embroidery. Alright, so let's go back to the hoop cam, and I'm going to load my white thread up on top. Okay, I loaded my thread and I've got a loop, so I'm going to get my stylish and get that loop out because that loop can wrap around the foot, break a needle, or worse, so we don't want that to happen. So we're ready to start stitching. Let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the placement line for the batting. Here we go. Okay, so now you need to put the batting down, making sure that you cover that placement line. And mine is a little bit short, but it's just gonna make it, I think. There we go there. And if I'm a teeny bit short, that's okay because I know there's a cushion in this, but I think I can just make it. All right, so let's put the foot down. Use your stylus to hold the batting down and keep your fingers away from the moving needle. Where I'm a little tight, is the top and the bottom. So we'll see how this works out. Foot down, and here we go. Wish me luck. Wow, that was a little too close, but we did it. It barely caught there, and then it barely caught there, but we did it. Yay! Okay, so now I want you to take the hoop off the machine and go to the table, and I want you to trim away the excess, if there's any, top, and the side, and trim away all of the excess batting, and I'll meet you right back here. All right, now that I got that trimmed up, now let's put the foot down. I'm going to keep my white thread up above, and I'm going to stitch out the placement line for the fabric. Okay, so now we're going to get our background fabric, and we're going to place this down, covering that stitch line. And make sure if you do have directional fabric that you have the top on this side, the bottom down here, and then just feel for the edge of the batting. That will kind of allow you to center this. So I've got it good on that side, and I feel for the top and the bottom. Bring it down just a little bit, and that looks good. All right, so let's put the foot down, keep the same color thread up on top, and let's tack down this fabric. I just want to say a huge thank you to Kimberbell for sponsoring me in this project and for providing the Pumpkins and Potions quilting bundle for me to use in this project. This quilting bundle is amazing. It is definitely something that you can look at in order to enhance this project. It comes with all of these amazing designs. You get a cauldron, you get a spider web, some happy ghosts that look like they have little glasses on. This border is amazing. I cannot wait to show you the borders. And you get this cool pumpkin and ghost and 31 on there. It's just a bunch of fun. So if you're able to get this quilting bundle, it's going to just make your project pop. The borders, I cannot wait. Look at these borders. There's 2 of them, and I'm going to try to incorporate both of them in this project. You get enough files in each of the designs to be able to do any combination of size that you could possibly think of for this project and our other projects. And you also get the block tile sizes for the clear blue tiles quilting method as well in each of the designs. So I highly recommend if you can do this. This is amazing. Please use the link in the description below to purchase the bundle from Kimberbell.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and quilt the quilting design. This is a 7-minute in real life stitch out, and I'm going to use the white thread up on top because I want the quilting to blend in, and I want the chandelier to do the popping or the speaking on the block, as I call it. So white thread to blend in. Here we go. Enjoy. Very nice. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take the hoop off the machine gently, set it off to one side, and I want to switch out my bobbin thread. Now, they don't mention this in the instructions, but I highly recommend that anytime you do a lot of black stitching where it calls for satin stitches or anything, which we'll be doing here in a few minutes, always put black thread down below in your bobbin when you put it up on top. And the reason being is if you have any tension issues at all in your machine, which may not show up normally, for some reason magically when you do black thread and satin stitches, it shows up. So I highly recommend just putting a matching color down below when you're doing black thread. That will help prevent any of that white bobbin thread coming out. All right, I've got a little loop. I want to get that out so it doesn't break a needle or worse. All right, we ready? So I've got black bobbin down below. I've got black thread up on top. And the next stitch is going to be the placement line for our chandelier fabric, which is going to be the black. So go ahead and get this out while we wait, and let's stitch out the placement line. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to take the hoop off the machine gently so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing, and I want to line my fabric up and cover all of that placement line. All right, so then I'll put the hoop back on, use my stylus to hold it down, and put the foot down, and the next stitch is going to tack this fabric down. Here we go. Okay, I want you to take your hoop off the machine. I want you to take this over to the table, and I want you to trim away all the excess fabric from around the outside edge of that stitch line. And if you happen to have these scissors, these are really handy. These are Havel scissors, but they're curved. You see there? A little bit better. You can see that they're curved. And they'll really help you when you go to trim applique like this, because it's curved upward and it won't stab your fabric down below or your stabilizer. I highly recommend these if you don't have any curved scissors like this. There's a link in the description below that'll take you to Amazon where you can find these. Also, another reason I love them is because they have big holes for your fingers, and I have big hands. I'm a big girl, and these are very comfortable to use because of those large finger holes. They're not the really small ones that are so painful to use. These are super comfy. All right, go ahead and trim up that fabric, and I'll meet you right back here. All right, I trimmed that up. Now, one little tip here. Black fabric will cause a lot of what I call debris after you've trimmed it up. So I just use a piece of Scotch tape, and I get all of that up. I try not to what I call vacuum too much around the fabric, because the more you do, the more it'll fray, and you don't want that. So I try just to get around the block and get all that little excess up so it doesn't get caught up in your stitches. But don't really vacuum the fabric, so to speak, with the tape, because like I said, it will cause more fraying. And any of the loose fraying here is going to all be covered and protected by the satin stitch. So you just need to get what's around the outside edge. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to put the hoop back on the machine. I still have black thread up on top, and I have a bobbin of black thread down below, because now we're going to stitch out the chandelier. And I want my chandelier to be black on the white fabric. This is a 20-minute in real life stitch out. So just sit back and enjoy, hang out, and watch it make magic on your block. Here we go. Okay, so what it did is my upper thread broke. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the upper thread, and because it's probably all up in here, I can't touch it. I'm going to walk this thread back down, because you don't ever want to pull the thread back up this direction. You want it to come down this direction, but because I can't touch or reach that bottom part, I grab this upper end and I walk it through so it's technically coming out. And this is what it did. It did a little shredding action there, okay? That happens every once in a while. That's to be expected when you do machine embroidery. Okay, so let me show you how to fix it. So the first thing I do is I thread the top again with new black thread. All right. I gotta click OK first before it'll let me thread the needle. Okay, so that's good. Make sure I don't have a loop. I need to go back some stitches and redo this little bead right here because it went for a little bit while it was shredding the thread. So let me show you how to do that. Let's go to the screen cam, and I need to go to my plus and minus key, and I'm going to go back however many stitches I need to get to that. It's this one here, to get to that second bead. All right, so I'm going to go back in tens, and actually I'm going to go back to the first bead because I can see what it's doing there. Okay, then I can go forward. It's on the first bead. I'm going forward, and that's where I need to start. All right, so you just use that plus and minus key and then go up and down until you get to where you need to be. You can see right here, it's really tiny, but I'm right in between that first bead and it's going to start the second bead, and that's where I want to be. All right, so let's go back to the hoop cam and let's put the foot down and let's continue stitching. Here we go. Didn't that turn out pretty? I love that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take the hoop off the machine gently, put it off to one side because we're not done with it yet. I want to swap out my bobbin thread down below, which is now black. I want to switch it back to a white thread. We have one stitch left to do. I know the computer says 2, but we only have 1. We are not stitching the last stitch. That's just a line that Kimberbell puts in the program that basically tells the computer where to center the design on. So we don't actually want to stitch that last stitch out. Okay, so the last thing we're actually going to stitch is the gold flame. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put gold thread in the top of my machine, and you pick out what color thread you would like your flames to be. I have a thread stand on the back of the machine here, and sometimes it's a little challenging to reach it, but I got it. All right, yeah, anytime I use a big spool like that, I use a thread stand on the back of my machine to keep the thread away from the moving wheel on the right side of the machine. So it's like you're doing aerobics trying to get to the thread stand, but it's all good. All right, so I'm loading my gold thread, put it in here. This is a 2-minute stitch out. Again, this is the last thing we have to stitch on this. All right, so let's enjoy. Foot down and let's stitch out the flames. That is amazing. Look at that. So pretty. Very elegant. I love that on the sparkle fabric. Again, this is my favorite fabric of all time, I think. It's white with glitter. It's similar to Michael Miller's Fairy Frost. That one has a little bit more of a design to the glitter. This is just total, just speckled glitter everywhere. Just love it. And I have another project that I hope to get to, which is the Dear Jane quilt. Paper piecing that, and I have a whole bolt that I've set aside to use with that project, and I cannot wait to get started on that. So many projects we want to do and not enough hours in the day, right? Right. Okay, so we are done stitching out this block. Again, we're not going to stitch out this last line. The computer's showing me like a block line right here. Again, that's just to center the design on the block, so do not stitch that black line. All right, so let's take this over to the table, and I'm going to show you how to finish up this block. Okay, isn't this block really pretty? I think it's really elegant. I can't wait to put the beads on, but we're not going to be putting the beads on right now. All we're going to do to finish up today is we're going to trim this block. Then once we've put the blocks and sewn them together in the quilt, then we'll come back and we'll add the beads embellishment onto this block as well as the crystals. Okay, so all we got to do left today is we're going to trim this block up. So it's going to measure 6.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So I want to measure this outer stitch line. It was actually the tack down for the fabric. I want to measure that and make sure it's going to measure 6.5. So from this line to this line, it's 6.5. From the top line to the bottom, it's just under 8.5. So we will be perfect using those stitch lines as a tool in order to help cut and square up this block. So I'm going to start with this top stitch line. I want to line the ruler up. This is stitched really straight, so I don't have to worry about making adjustments for that. And I'm going to move the ruler so it's just past that stitch line, just a little bit. And that will be my first cut. Okay, first cut. Then I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to use my mat. And this is going to measure 8.5. So I have it on 18, so I want to make sure that I line it up on 10.5. using my mat and the ruler, making sure this is going to be squared up. And can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. The reason I always say that is because if I can see the stitch line, then I know that I'm cutting in the correct spot. If for some reason I cannot see that stitch line, stop, reposition, remeasure, because you might not be where you want to cut. You might be too far into the block. So yes, I can see that stitch line. So I can go ahead and take that off. Okay, so now these two sides are measured up nicely. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this side. I'm going to come over here. The outer stitch line is pretty straight, but I'm going to use my ruler down with this squared in to make sure I am good. Okay, can I see the stitch line? Yes, I'm just under the ruler on that stitch line. So now I can flip it over. And you don't have to be perfect. See, some of the stitch lines here and some of it's up here, because your focus is to get the block squared, and then those stitch lines will disappear into your seam allowance when we put this all together. So I'm measuring my fabric, 16 be 10.5. Use my line on the ruler here to make sure. Line it up with the mat. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, this part's underneath. This part is actually on the outside edge. That's fine. Trim that up. This block looks so cool. You did it. Congratulations. Okay, so I hope you had as much fun making this block today as I did. So I hope you stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV for more fun and more blocks in Kimberbell's amazing project, Pumpkins and Potions. And until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.